మేడం అన్నపూర్ణ గారు ఇవాళ మీరు చెప్తారా? అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి.
చెప్తానండి.
యా. Verse 11, the very first verse of Sri Krishna's Gita-amrutam. Ashochan
Asochanstvam
prajnavadancha bhashase
prajnavadancha bhashate
ashochan anvasochahatvam
asochananvasochastvam
prajnavadancha bhashase
prajnavadanscha bhashate
gatasun agatansuncha
gatasuna agatasumscha
na anushocanti panditaha.
nanusochanchi pandita.
Now reading together. Ashocananvasochastvam
asochananvasochastvam
prajnavadanscha bhashase
prajnavadanscha bhashase
gatasunagatansuncha
gatasuna gatansuncha
manushocanti panditaha.
nanusochanti pandita.
So as we know, this verse is immediately after, almost immediately after Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The entire first chapter was Arjuna was totally immersed in Vishada, a sort of a despondency, a depression, doesn't knowing what to do. So that was basically Shochaha. Shochaha is dukkham or misery or despondency, a feeling of extreme depression and sorrow. So that is what Krishna is picking up from the very first word of the Gita. He is trying to start from the very addressing the problem being faced by the entire humanity. So that is why the verse starts with Ashocyan. That is the word, it starts from here. He is now telling Arjuna point blank, Tvam Anushochaha. You are grieving. Of course, it is very clear. He is grieving very clear. But grieving for what? Ashocyancha. Shocyan means one for whom we should grieve. Ashocyan is one for whom we should not grieve. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are grieving for those not to be grieved. Tvam anvashochaha ashocyan cha. Here cha means not and, but you are grieving for those not to be grieved, but bhashase prajnavadans. You are speaking as if you know everything. Because later part of chapter 1, Arjuna was telling very emphatically, this is what will happen. If I don't do it, this will happen, this will happen. He was telling one by one. So Krishna tells him, you talk as if you are a wise man, but you are not behaving wisely, because the wise do not grieve. Panditaha na anushocanti. Really wise people do not grieve. They do not grieve either for the dead or for the living. Living means living who are about to die. Like he is worried about Bhishma, Arjuna, Bhishma and Drona, who are not dead, but he is worried that they will die. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. The wise, that is Panditaha, do not grieve either for the dead, that is Gatasoon, or the living, Agatasoon. Gata means going. Gatasoon means gone. Gone means gone from this world. Gone here in a way means people who are expired, died. Agatasoon means who are not yet gone, but on the way to go. So that is what it applies. The wise do not grieve either for the dead or for the living, because they accept birth and death both as part of life. Birth does not excite, nor does death deject. Both are normal, unavoidable events in what is called our journey of life. So this is known to the wise. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are not behaving like a wise person, but you're talking as if you're a wise person. So Krishna is basically pointing out to Arjuna about his wrong approach to life. So he will not address very specific issues. He will make an overall diagnosis and try to tell him the flaw in his Arjuna's thinking. So this is exactly called tamoguna, ignorance. Arjuna was lost in ignorance or darkness or a sort of a slumber. Now, the best way to wake up a person is to give a jerk to him. You can't politely sing a lullaby, he will further go to sleep. So a person is sleeping, you have to wake him up, shake him up. That is what Krishna does. He gives a shock treatment. So very first verse starts with the word Ashochan. And this is a very interesting thing in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna's discourse, as we know, starts from verse 11 of chapter 2, and his actual discourse ends with verse 66 of chapter 18. Although there are some more verses are there which go up to 78. That is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. That is verse 78. That's only in Sanjaya's words or some other issues. So basic advice of Krishna stops with verse 66. So this is the beginning, this is the end. And beautifully, the first word in the first operative verse is Ashochan. You are grieving. And the last word in the last operative verse, 66, is Ma Shuchaha. There is no need to grieve. That means Arjuna's grief, Krishna removes over the entire Bhagavad Gita. Every verse is important. That is what this particular sequence indicates. Now, Arjuna's problem is he is thinking of himself as purely a narrow point of view. I, ego. He's thinking of himself as what we all make a mistake. When we say I think of my body or my mind or my intellect or my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings. This is what I think I constitute. This I, normally in English we write with a small I. When you write I with a capital I or self with a capital S, it means the supreme being, the supreme self which is present in us, the Atma. Actually, entire thing is Atma Jnana. This is elaborated by Adi Shankaracharya in a book called Atma Bodha. He elaborates further what is Atma, Atma Bodha. So this is what it does here. Arjuna, or for that matter, all of us, we always think I am the body. But we forget that there's an eternal spirit is there within us. No, the effort of Bhagavad Gita is trying to re-educate us, re-education of the human mind, and try to tell us, make us understand that I am not the body. Because once we understand I am not the body, all problems are solved. Because all problems which we feel are related to the body. There is no problem for the self. If I understand that, there is no problem. So Krishna is trying to address the issue at multiple levels, physical, mental, intellectual level, all that he is trying to address us. And finally, he is trying to take us to a very high spiritual level. So this is the real benefit of Bhagavad Gita. So very first verse we can read again. Ashochanan Vashocastvam
Asochananvasocastvam
Prajnavadanscha Bhashase
Prajnavadanscha bhashase
Gatasu Nagatansuncha
Gatasu nagatamsuncha
Nanushocanti Panditaha.
Nanusochanti panditaha.
Now, Krishna has said here, you don't have to worry about either the people who are already dead or who may be on the way. Why? So this answer comes in the very next verse. Very next verse, that answer is here. The long verse, actually number of letters are same. This also Anushrup Chandas with 8. But the number of words which are clubbed together is very high. So we'll read very slowly. Natu eva aham jatu na asam.
न तु एव अहं जातुनासं
Natvevaham jatu nasam.
न त्वेवाहं न जातुनासं
Nasam is na asam. Natvevaham jatu nasam.
न त्वेवाहं जातुनासं
Natvam na ime janadhipaha.
न त्वम् इमे जनाधिपा
Natvam neme janadhipaha.
न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः
Na cha eva na bhavishyamaha.
न च एव न भविष्यामः
Na chaiva na bhavishyamaha.
न चैव न भविष्यामः
Sarve vayam atah param.
सर्वे वयम् अथ परम्
Sarve vayam atah param.
सर्वे वयम् अथ परम्
Natvevaham jatu nasam.
न त्वेवाहं जातुनासं
Natvam neme janadhipaha.
न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपा
Na chaiva na bhavishyamaha.
न चैव न भविष्यामः
Sarve vayam atah param.
सर्वे वयम् अथ परम्
So unless we know the meanings of each word, no, it almost like Greek and Latin. You can't make anything from this. Now these are we can read in small sentences. There are actually almost 4 sentences here. Na tu eva, na tu asam, aham, na jatu. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, basically I will tell you meaning a very simple words. He says, we are existing, all of us, we are existing today. Or what we think we're existing today, we were not in existence before our birth. We are not in existence after death. This is a mistake we make. But actually what Krishna is telling is, it is not that we were not there before birth. It is not that we will not be there after death. That means we are always there. We were there earlier, we are now here, we will always be there hereafter also. And Krishna is telling this applies to you, to me, and to all the kings who are assembled here. So Krishna is telling very, very, in a sort of a simple way, complicated way, but he's telling a simple fact that all these persons about whom you are grieving, they were there earlier, they are now physically before you, but they will continue to be there. What you think is their death. So there is no need to worry. There is no need to grieve. That is what he's trying to say. Never indeed was I not existing. Similarly, you also were never not existing. Not even these kings were not existing. In future also, from now on also, we all will not cease to be in the future. Now this verse is full of what we call double negatives. You just ignore the double negative, remove both the negatives. You get a very simple meaning. I will read this. Indeed, I was existing earlier. You were also existing earlier. These kings were also existing earlier. Not only that, from now on also, that is in the future also, we all will exist. You follow now? So this is the meaning of this. Appears slightly complicated, but ignore the double negative, you get a clear meaning. So actually we have to understand like this, because what we call a human being consists of multiple layers. It consists of the matter and the spirit. Now matter refers to body, our karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, all these things: body, mind, intellect. Spirit is the one which refers to what we call Atma, or the consciousness, Chetanatvam, the supreme being, the supreme power which is in us is the spirit. Spirit is the real living force. Now, this, as far as body is concerned, body will come and go. Body is perishable. But the Atman, the spirit, the supreme consciousness, it exists eternally. It existed in the past. It will continue to exist in the future also. So Krishna is referring to the spirit, not to the body. That's why he's telling, you were there in the past, you are there now, you will be in the future also. And the beauty about this Atman is, bodies are multiple. Every individual has a different body, has a different mind, different intellect, different indriyas. But the self, that is supreme, which is there in all the individual beings, is only one. There are not multiple Atmas. Atma is only one. One indivisible supreme self, supreme consciousness, which is there in every being. So that is why always when we talk of body, we refer in plural. We say bodies, Bahuvachanam. But when we refer to Atma, it is Ekavachanam. Atma is only one. Atma, that's all. Not Atmas, Atma. Bodies, Shariras. Many bodies are there. Okay. Now, Krishna declares himself or Arjuna or even great assembled kings, anybody on the battlefield now, they are not come from nowhere. They are come from somewhere. That means. And they are not going to become non-existence. They are going to get merged again in the supreme consciousness. So it's really what we are seeing before us is only a part of the journey. It's a long journey because we don't know the past, we don't know the future, we are only seeing the present. But journey is not confined to only present. A journey is a long journey, so in which this is only a small part. So why do you focus on this small part and start worrying? That what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. Natvevaham jatu nasam
Natvevaaham jatu nasam
natvam neme janadipaha
natvam neme janadhipaha
na chaiva na bhavishyamaha
na chaiva na bhavishyamaha
sarve vayamata param.
sarve vayamata param.
You can see Krishna is dealing with this Bhagavad Gita also in a very scientific, analytical manner. The very first verse. First verse, he says there is no reason to grieve. There is no reason for sorrow. Second verse, he is answering why. He is answering because we were there earlier, we will be there in the future also. There is nothing to worry. Because we are actually, what we think is we are two parts. One is the body, matter, and the spirit. Now, next verse, he is telling about the body. What happens to body, he is trying to explain. Dehi nosmin.
Dehinosmin.
Dehinaha asmin yatha dehe.
Dehinaha asmam
Yatha
yatha
dehe.
dehe.
Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Kaumaram yauvanam jara.
Kaumaram yavvanam jara.
Tatha dehantara praptihi.
Tadha dehantara praptihi.
Dhiraha tatra na muhyati.
Dhiraha tatra namuchyati.
Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Kaumaram yauvanam jara.
Kaumaram yavvanam jara.
Tatha dehantara praptihi.
Tadha dehantara praptihi.
Dhirastatra na muhyati.
Dhirastatra namuhyati.
I've indicated commas here. There you can give a slight pause. Tatha Dehantara praptihi
तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
So, as human beings, we are seeing children being born before us. We know a child who is born goes through what is called boyhood, tender age, a girlhood, kaumaram, delicate stage, yauvanam, youth, jara. Most of us are in different stages of jara, old age. We are all in that particular stage, what we call senior citizens or super senior citizens. We are in that stage, third stage here. Kaumaram, yauvanam, jara. Then what happens? We don't know. We know there is something called death. Beyond death, what happens? We don't know. It is not the end. It is not the end. It is only one more stage. So after what we call like birth is one benchmark, one starting point. Death is another milestone in the journey of life. So after death, what happens? There is one more stage. So the name given Bhagavad Gita is Deha Antara Prapti, Dehantara Sthiti. After giving up the body, there is one more stage. That is the fourth stage. So Krishna is telling there are not three stages, my dear friend. There are four stages. Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara, Tatha, and Dehantara Prapti. There are four stages are there. So why do you think these three stages and then you think the end? The end does not come after Jara. The end may not come at all. That is what Krishna is telling. So, Dhiraha, a knowledgeable person, a wise person, na muhyati tatra. In this regard, he does not worry because he understands this point. He does not worry. Yatha means Dehinaha, the Supreme Self, which is in this body. As the embodied self, Asmin Dehe, in this body, passes from childhood to youth and on to old age. Tatha, hence, in the similarly, in the same way, there is one more stage is there. This is called obtaining another body. And again, the cycle continues. So, in this regard, the wise are not deluded. Muhyati means deluded, delusion, confusion, worry. It does not happen, is what he's trying to say. So, actually, what is happening is there is only a transfer of the Supreme Spirit within us. The spirit is transferred from one body to another body. The name we are given for this is called, when leaves one body, we call it death. When the spirit enters another body, we call it birth. These are names we are given. That's all. So as far as the supreme, the spirit is concerned, it is performing a long journey. And how long will this journey continue? That is the prarabdha, what we call karma sesha. If you don't perform any what you call sakama karma, if you perform only nishkama karma, then this will not accumulate. You clear off your all this karma here, and then there is no other birth. Till then, this is unavoidable. This journey will continue. So what you call death is not something you have to grieve. That is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. So in the Atma, only the mind, intellect, equipment moves from body. So what we call death, after death, what happens is body is destroyed, body is decay, body is cremated or buried. But what is happens is the spirit in the person, they say spirit has left the body. The spirit leaves the body much earlier. That body which is remains, that's why we call it mortal remains. Mortal remains, we call it. But what has happened to the immortal spirit? Immortal spirit has left this body and maybe it will go on a long journey. It will go somewhere else. So if the mortal remains only, we are destroying, we are creating because of no use. It decays. So we cremate it. So actually what happens is the individuality does not end. The embodied ego leaves a body according to the vasanas, what we call mental impressions, gathered during its embodiment, gets identified with another physical body to express or exhaust its vasanas, completely. Till then, this transfer of this spirit will continue from body to body. So once we understand this, what is there for you to worry about so-called death? This is what Lord Krishna is telling him. Dehinosmin yatha dehe
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे
kaumaram yauvanam jara
कौमारं यौवनं जरा
तथा देहांतर प्राप्तिहि
तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
Now he's telling about body, the problem which we face the body. What are the problems? What is it happening? Why it is feeling? It says, matra sparshah kaunteya.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय
Matra sparshah kaunteya.
मात्रा स्पर्शाः कौन्तेय
शीत उष्ण सुख दुख दाहा.
शीत उष्ण सुख दुःखदाः.
Daha means da means giver. Da means giver. Simple name is Jaya Prada. Prada is giving. So da is giving. What is we are receiving? Sitaha, cold, Ushnaha, heat, Sukhaha, happy, Dukkhaha, unhappiness. All these things are arising, it says, because of the matra sparshaha, senses and the sense objects. Because these two are together, we get these feelings of heat and cold, happiness and unhappiness. All these are coming because of this. Oh, my dear Kaunteya. Then he's telling Arjuna, don't worry, these come and go. Agama painaha. These just come and go. Anityaha. These are not permanent. These are temporary phases. Tan titikshasva. Therefore, learn to endure, learn to bear them. O Bharata, O Arjuna. Matra sparshaha kaunteya.
मात्रा स्पर्शाः कौन्तेय
शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः.
शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदा.
आगमापायिनो नित्याः.
आगमापायिनो नित्याः
तान् तितिक्षस्व भारत.
तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत.
Kaunteya, O Arjuna, matra sparshaha, what you call the sense contact, the contact between the senses and the sense objects. We'll elaborate this. These are the cause for feeling of heat and cold, pleasure and pain. And anityaha, these are indeed transient, temporary, ephemeral. Agama payinaha, they come and go. Nothing is permanent. O Bharata, titikshasva tan. Try to endure them, learn to endure them. These will not vanish, these always will be there. Try to endure them. Understand this. Now, there is a very interesting thing. When you say senses, we all understand what senses are. Senses are our pancha jnanendriyas, our power of seeing, sight, power of hearing, power of smelling, power of tasting, power of feeling. That is in the skin, sense of touch. So we have these 5 senses. And correspondingly, there are 5 what we call objects of senses. The organs of senses are ears, eyes, nose, tongue, and skin. These 5 are there. Now, objects are for the eyes. The sense object is sight. Any other drishyam, what we call it, drishyam, sight. Sound is the object for the ear. Objects which we can sense through nose, that is the object for the nose. Taste, objects we can taste. And skin, the objects we can feel through our skin, like wind, etc. These are the sense objects. Now, there is a very interesting way to understand this. Suppose we have all the sense objects outside, but we don't have senses. What will happen? If I don't have the eyes to see, if I don't have the ears to hear, if I don't have a nose which can smell, which they say in COVID can happen, you lose sense of taste, sense of touch. If suppose that happens, then to you, the world is not existing. Similarly, you have very good eyesight, but pitch darkness. You cannot see anything. There is no object to see. Then also world does not exist. A total silence is there, like in space, they say. Your power of hearing is there, but nothing to be heard. Then also world does not exist. Since we want to know the world is existing, it is called prapanchamu. Pancha, five. So all together is prapanchamu, the world. So if you want to know the world exists, we should have the sense objects, we should also have the senses. If they are there together, we feel it. For example, Shitoshna, heat and cold. Heat and cold, they'll be felt as long as we have a body. We have a body, we have sense of touch, sense of feeling, so we'll feel heat and cold. Similarly, pleasure and pain, as long as the mind to experience the feelings, I get pleasure and pain. As long as the intellect I have, I can feel honor and dishonor. These are bound to be there. They will not go anywhere. So Krishna tells, endure, understand this aspect and learn to endure this. Titikshasva, that's what he's trying to say. And now the environment, the people around us. Suppose I say I want only happiness. I don't want perfect climate. It will never happen because the world, the persons around us, the situations, the environments, all these things, they are not as per our likes and dislikes. I may like something, I may dislike something, but world will not like this. But I have to understand that, I have to accept it. If I keep on cribbing, this is not good, this is not good, then only what is left is you are suffering. So what should change is our attitude. The world will not change. World remains as is. We should understand the world and try to accept it. So this is called titikshasva, titikshatvam, that quality. And now Krishna finally says, a person who can do this, a person who understands this, he is almost immortal. He is beyond happiness, unhappiness. That means he is almost reaching what you call immortality. Amrutatvaya kalpate. He reaches that particular stage. Once understanding is there. Yam hi na vyathayanti ete.
Yam hi na vyathayantete.
Ete means these. What these? The sense contacts. The sense contact, the contact of the senses with the sense objects, if does not trouble me, if a person is not afflicted by this, yam hi na vyathayanti ete.
Yam hi na vyathayanti ete.
Yam hi na vyathayanti te.
Yam hi na vyathayanti te.
Up together, vyathayanti te.
Vyathayanti te.
Yam hi na vyathayanti te.
Yam hi na vyathayanti te.
Purusham purushashabha.
Purusham purushasava.
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
After sama, you give a pause because sama means equal, both sukha dukkha. Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
Saha amrutatvaya kalpate.
Saha amrutatvaya kalpate.
He deserves, he is fit for immortality. That is self-realization. He gets the Purna Jnana. That's what he says. Yam hina vyathayante te
Yam hina vyadhayantyete.
purusham purushashabha
Purusham purushashabha.
sama dukkha sukham dhiram
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram.
somrutattvaya kalpate.
Somrutatvaya kalpate.
Purusham Purushashabha, Purusha Rishabha. That means Arjuna is Krishna is addressing Arjuna as, oh, best among the men. He has chosen the best among the men to give the Gita discourse. He will not give it in an ordinary person, not some Tom, Dick, and Harry. He has selected the best person available in that particular time, best Shishya, that's Arjuna. He is addressing him as a best among men. What more compliment does Arjuna want? Purushashabha. Krishna is telling, Yam, one who, Sama Dukkha Sukham, one who is balanced in pleasure and pain. That means he also will pain. A great rishi, a great sage also feels pleasure and pain. He is not beyond this. But he is balanced. He accepts it. He is not overjoyed by pleasure. He is not completely discussed and surrounded and delusioned by pain. One who is balanced in pleasure and pain, and one who is steadfast, dhiram. Krishna says, such a person, he is not afflicted by these sense contacts. If we are balanced in pleasure and pain, these outside objects, external objects cannot affect me, cannot upset me. And then he says, Saha kalpate. He indeed is fit for immortality. Such a person is fit for self-realization. Now, this verse is a sort of indicator of what we call Sthita Pragnatvam. Arjuna will ask later in this chapter, who is Sthita Pragna? What is this? Then Krishna explains from verse 54 to 72 who is a Sthita Pragna. So this gives only a sort of a jhalak, gives a trailer, teaser. This verse highlights the exalted state, great state of an enlightened person as compared to us. We are average persons. We feel sorrow, we feel dejected, we feel elated. So a knowledgeable person, a jnani, will not feel. So average persons like us have endless desires for world objects. But the problem is each fulfilled desire generates more desires. The process is endless. An unfulfilled desire causes still greater disappointment and pain, which is the main reason for sorrow, and it is causes losing of a peace of mind. But an enlightened person is not affected in this manner. He maintains equanimity. Such a person is balanced in pain and pleasure. So the only difference between an average person and a great person is the wise one is neither unduly elated by pleasure nor unduly depressed by pain. You can note the stress is on the word unduly. He also may be elated by pleasure, but not unduly. He also may feel pain. He may feel depression for only momentary moment. He is able to get out of it very, very fast. Whereas what we do, we are very fond of digging into the past problems. Same problem, we keep on thinking, it happened to me like that 10 years back, 40 years back. When I was a small child, that fellow said something, he abused me. I still remember that and still keep on cursing that person after 50, 60 years. So this is nothing but foolishness. This is what they are trying to tell. Now they use the word Purusha Shabha, Purusha Shabham. Purusha means actually bull among men. Now bull, comparing a person with bull is a very great compliment. Shivratri is going to come now. No, the Vahana of Lord Shiva is a Nandi, a bull. A bull has a very great quality because it wants only very, very inexpensive grass, but it does so much of hard work. Like a mother cow will take only a little grass, but give us milk which is like a nectar. So minimum output, minimum input, maximum output. So this is a quality of a bull. So Krishna repeatedly compares a great person with a bull. Purusham, Purusha Rishabha, one who is like a bull among men. This is a great compliment Krishna gives to Arjuna. So, sir, maybe you can unmute yourself. I'm actually taking a small break, not more than giving a small break. I'm giving a small break.